Charles Dance has just been added to the cast of The Batman Part 2, believed to be playing Christopher Dent, Harvey's father. And if you know your Batman lore even a little bit, that one casting choice tells you a whole lot about where this story is actually going. Because Harvey Dent's descent into becoming Two-Face isn't just about a court case gone wrong or acid in the face. It starts way earlier than that, and it starts at home. Batman Arkham Shadow, for instance, paints a harrowing portrait of what Harvey's childhood looked like. His father Christopher was an alcoholic who would flip a coin to let fate decide whether he would beat Harvey. That's the origin of the coin, not some random villain's gimmick. It's a trauma response baked into him since childhood, and Reeves isn't the kind of filmmaker who's going to cast someone of Dance's caliber just to show up in one flashback and disappear. Before Dance was confirmed, names like Robert De Niro, Brad Pitt, and Stellan Skarsgård had all reportedly been floated for the part. That tells you something about how Reeves was thinking about this role from the beginning. This isn't a throwaway. So here's the theory I find most compelling. Charles Dance plays Christopher Dent, not just as Harvey's abusive father, but as an active figure in Gotham's present, someone embedded in the city's power structure, possibly at the very top of it. Two of the leading villain theories for Part 2 are Two-Face and the Court of Owls, Gotham's secret society that pulls strings from the shadows. In the comics, the court is made up of Gotham's oldest, wealthiest families, people who have been running the city from the dark for generations. And if Chris Dent is one of them, that changes everything about Harvey's arc. It means the city Harvey has been trying to save his entire career was poisoned at the source by his own father. That's not just a twist, that's a complete psychological demolition of a man who was already barely holding it together. Now, the larger plot framework has been pretty well established at this point. Reports indicate the story involves District Attorney Harvey Dent, Commissioner Gordon, and Batman forming an uneasy alliance to bring down a serial killer while also dismantling the city's entrenched organized crime infrastructure. If that premise sounds familiar, it should. Reeves drew inspiration for the first film from comics, including The Long Halloween, Dark Victory, and Year One. Part 2 sounds like it's going full Long Halloween, and I mean that as one of the highest compliments possible. Written by Jeff Loeb with art by Tim Sale, The Long Halloween is a year-long murder mystery where a killer called Holiday targets the Falcone crime family, always striking on specific holidays. But what makes it genuinely great isn't the whodunit. It's what the investigation does to the three men at the center of it. Batman, Gordon, and Harvey Dent begin as reluctant allies, each of them still trying to believe Gotham is redeemable. By the end, that belief has been completely corroded, and Harvey pays the most devastating price of all. In the comics, Harvey starts the story as one of Gotham's last honest men. Aggressive, idealistic, probably too intense for his own good, but genuinely trying. His relationship with his wife Gilda is one of the story's most quietly devastating threads. She watches the city slowly eat him alive, loves him through it, and can't stop what's coming. Which brings us to Scarlett Johansson, confirmed as Gilda Dent. Reeves builds his films around exactly this kind of grounded emotional collapse, the person closest to the tragedy who sees it coming and can't do anything about it. But there's a competing theory in the fan community that I genuinely can't dismiss, which is that Johansson's character isn't just Gilda. Some fans have speculated that Johansson could be playing Jessica Dent, Harvey's twin sister from the Batman Earth 1 graphic novels, a character who becomes a female version of Two-Face after Harvey's death. It's a wilder swing, but consider this: the Earth 1 comics have already quietly influenced Reeves' verse more than most people realize. In The Batman, Thomas Wayne ran a failed mayoral campaign, and Alfred was depicted as a former military figure who trained Bruce. Both of those details come directly from Earth 1. Reeves has shown he'll pull from unexpected places. That said, there's also the Holiday theory, the idea that Gilda herself is the killer at the center of the mystery. In the Long Halloween comics, the actual identity of Holiday is one of the most debated reveals in Batman's publishing history, and Gilda's potential involvement is part of what makes the story so layered. If Reeves is building toward that kind of structural twist, where the woman Harvey loves most is the one dismantling everything he's built, that's the kind of narrative gut punch that defines prestige filmmaking, not just superhero movies. Reeves has stated that this sequel is going to be very different from the first film and is taking some big swings. The script was completed in June, giving the production an unusually long runway of nearly a full year in pre-production, which points to a carefully and deliberately crafted film. Mattson Tomlin has said publicly that he and Reeves pushed themselves past their limits on this one and are genuinely looking forward to when people can finally talk about it openly. And here's where I want to zoom out for a second, because the casting of Sebastian Stan as Harvey Dent is doing a lot of of work that hasn't been fully appreciated yet. Stan has spent years in the MCU playing Bucky, a character defined by psychological fracture, by an identity that was systematically destroyed and rebuilt by outside forces. Reeves cast someone who already has a deep instinctive understanding of what it feels like to play a man coming apart at the seams. Harvey in Part 2 is almost certainly not Two-Face yet. Reeves has been clear in interviews that the main villain is someone who has never really been adapted in live action before, which essentially rules out Harvey's full transformation as the central arc. What we're going to watch instead is the pressure building, Harvey cracking under the weight of Gotham, under a serial killer investigation, under the revelation of what his own father is, under whatever is happening in his marriage. The acid comes later, maybe at the very end, maybe not until a third film, but the tragedy of it, that's the whole movie. And look, Part 2 also needs to account for everything the Penguin established. The Penguin series won 9 Emmys and fundamentally reshaped Gotham's crime landscape. Oz clawed his way to the top of a power vacuum, building something genuinely dangerous in the process. Colin Farrell is returning, and the question is how that criminal empire intersects with a holiday-style killer targeting organized crime. In The Long Halloween, the mob war and the serial killer run on parallel tracks that eventually collide. If Reeves is threading Oz's HBO-built empire into that structure, the collision is going to be something. The working title that leaked a few weeks back also pointed heavily toward the Court of Owls, and while working titles are inherently unreliable, the breadcrumbs have been there since the first film. The Wayne family conspiracy in The Batman, the deep institutional rot at the heart of Gotham's power structure, that's exactly the soil the Court of Owls grows in. In the comics, the court is so clandestinely embedded in Gotham that nearly any elderly figure of power could plausibly be a member. Christopher Dent, being one of them, would tie Harvey's personal tragedy directly to Gotham's systemic evil, and it would connect the Wayne family history, which the Batman established as deeply compromised, to the Dent family history in a way that makes Bruce and Harvey's alliance feel like it was doomed from the start. Filming kicks off in June, with a first teaser likely dropping sometime in mid-2026, and a full trailer expected in early spring 2027. The first part wasn't just a good superhero movie, it was a legitimately great noir film that happened to have a cape in it. Part 2, based on everything we know, is building towards something darker, more personal, and more structurally ambitious than anything this franchise has attempted. Harvey Dent is surrounded by a father who is the rot itself, a wife who might be the killer, a city that was never going to let him win, and Batman watching all of it happen, knowing he can't stop it, knowing Gotham always takes what it wants in the end.